Welcome, everyone, to a special episode of the Directed IRA podcast. This is Matt Sorensen here with the amazing,
oh, wow,
the formidable, the great and powerful Mark Kohler.
Woo! Okay, where's our producer? We need some sound in the background with some cheering. I was just joking. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Wow, and I didn't know this was a special edition today.
It's a special episode, folks, because, you know, it's not every day that you have good news coming from Washington, D.C., but today we do.
We do. Oh, by the way, when you were saying all those nice things about me, did you say my name? You said the formidable, this, that, and another. You never got to
the great
name.
And powerful. Oh, Mark Kohler.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now
I was like,
we can
what's
move
his name? What's his name? Who's this guy?
All right, if you're going to do the intro, you got to follow through to the end there. You know, now I cut you off. Well, and this is my amazing co-host, Matt Sorensen. If you did not introduce yourself, welcome everybody.
I like to be introduced as the great and powerful. That's how like Joe Rogan will like refer to people. He'll be like the great and powerful so-and-so. I'm like, you know, I always wanted to be introduced as that one day.
I was kind of thinking of Wizard of Oz, the great and powerful Oz, but that's just old school. But okay, now, anyway, what is this new law, Matt? Give us the name.
Okay, this is called Secure Act 2.0.
You feel more secure?
I do now. I mean, I'm loving this thing.
Okay, all right. Next question, is it better than 1.0?
Yes. Now, Secure 1.0 did have some cool stuff.
Okay.
That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
But it is better. It's new and improved.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you guys 4 cool things in this bill.
Okay. Now, I've got the whiteboard. For those that are catching this on the podcast, we encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel or Matt's YouTube channel. You can get this podcast with the video and a whiteboard. So I'm going to throw up the whiteboard as needed to further explain these 4. You got 4. There's more in the Secure Act than 4 things. There's probably knowing Congress. I mean, there's like 50.
You don't want me to talk about all that boring crap. I'm going to talk about the stuff that I know the investors, those self-directing business owners are going to care about.
Okay, so 4
That's
cool
what we're going to cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. All right. So I will be the scrivener, as they say. I will.
Okay. Yeah.
I will use
Scribe.
the whiteboard. Okay.
Okay. All right. So now a couple key things. I just want to say where this law is at. Now, this passed the House on March 29th, just a couple days ago, by 414 to 5. Okay.
That seems pretty good.
That seems pretty good.
Does Congress ever vote that strong on anything?
I don't know. I mean, maybe like. I have no idea. I can't even think of something. So that is very strong in the House. Now, there's another bill that's a companion bill to this in the Senate that has a few differences. We'll see how these things gets reconciled. And if this goes through the Senate does their own thing. But then the good message is you can tell Congress is wanting to get something out for the people. Last year was about Build Back Better, and there is very controversial by, very partisan. This bill was collaborative, giving the people stuff. There's kind of something in there for everyone, and it's good stuff. It's not we're restricting you or taking things away from you, which was Build Back Better.
I like the word you use, collaborative. Partisan, I hate that word. Bipartisan, partisan. I'm like, what the hell? What? Who? What? Are they together or not? What is it? The bias? I'm for it or not or what?
Yeah.
So they collaborated. The Republicans and Democrats actually got together on something.
Yeah.
So
that's
good.
So,
okay, well, all right, tell us number 1. Let's get into it. Now, by the way, everybody, what Matt was alluding to is it's got to go to the Senate, and then the committee reconciles, and then they, finally approve it in both House and Senate, and then President Biden is expected to sign this thing. It's got support on both sides of the aisle. So we wanted to get out in front of this and say, or talk about what we think the 4 main things are going to be. They're going to happen no matter what. I think we could almost bank on this. I shouldn't say that.
It's looking good. It's looking good. And remember when we were talking Build Back Better, which was divisive. All right, let's use that word. Yeah. We were saying, guys, there's some crap in this that could affect you. Call your congressman. Call your senator. Now I might be like, yeah, call your congressman or senator. Frankly, your congressman already voted on it. It's through. Call your senator and be like, this is an awesome thing that could help my retirement. I mean, let's send them some good news now, Yeah.
Send them a thank you. Finally, send a thank you email to your congresswoman or congressman and say, thank you. We appreciate you actually.
Unless they were one of those 5 bozos that voted against it.
Yeah, let's not name them. Oh my gosh. All right, 5.
All right,
Okay.
there's only 5 though. I mean, of all the bozos in Washington, only 5 of them voted against this one.
Oh my hell.
All right.
Okay, number 1.
Number 1, Rothification.
Ooh, wow, sounds like the TV show Californication. This is.
I mean, it doesn't have. What was that? David Duchovny?
Yeah.
Is he in the guy in that? Okay.
Okay, so Roth, is this a new word that we were releasing that word today on this show? Rothification?
Yeah, some other people have used it. Say
okay.
Rothification.
Okay.
But we got some Rothification going on.
Okay, so what's that mean?
Have you ever heard of a Roth SEP IRA?
Never.
Now you will, because it's in the bill. You can do a Roth SEP IRA.
Okay.
Okay. You want more of that?
We better unpack that. Okay, so let's go to the whiteboard. And those who have been longtime listeners, you know what this is all about. We got to have a visual here. So there's our trust down at the bottom. There's our foundation, and there's our 1040. We're going to split your life in half. And a SEP, I know I've kind of thrown simple and SEP. We're going to talk about these two. So number 1 is SEP, then we're going to come to simple. So SEP is a retirement plan. Let's put it over here in the retirement plan arena. This is kind of, when we do a trifecta, this is where you'd see your IRA, your Roth, your HSA. This is kind of this little campground of cool retirement accounts. You want to be in this. Mm-hmm. This is like the KOA. This is the KOA of coolness.
Okay. All right.
I'm getting spring fever. I want to go camping. So
I can tell. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we're over here, and we got this SEP IRA. This is a pretty cool RV. It's not. You know, it may not be the coolest RV in the campground, but it's okay. So here's how
it's better than the average one. It's better than the average RV out there.
Yeah, wouldn't say it's a Winnebago. You know, it's kind of a no-namer, maybe. Okay, now, here's how the SEP generally works. It is a company retirement plan. It's a business plan. You have to have a business to have a SEP. Now, any Tom, Dick, or Harry
the SE there stands for self-employed.
Yeah, self-employed. There you go, SEP. Now, any Tom, Dick, or Harry can have a Roth or an IRA, or they may have an HSA with the right type of health insurance. But a SEP, you've got to have a business. So over on the left side, over on our ops side, let's create a business. So we've got 2 options when it comes to a SEP. We might have a LLC/sole proprietor, and you might, I'm going to squiggly line that, or you might have an S corp, an S corporation, not an escort. That would be totally inappropriate. We do not talk about escorts on this show. We talk about S corporations. Okay?
Yeah.
I want to clarify that for a rating.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
For those in Nevada,
iTunes.
You could have an escort business in an S corp.
Wow. That was a tongue twister. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Now, so you have 2 business options, and with a SEP, you are allowed to put in either 25% of your W-2. So I'm going to put this in red. So if you have a W-2 out of an S corp, you can put 25% into the SEP. And if I go to my handy dandy calendar, the Mark J. Kohler calendar, still available for purchase. We're going to sell out by the end of the month, I believe. We can look at this, 25% of wages, and this is pretty cool. We can go up quite a bit. The maximum amount could be as high as $61,000 or more this year based on your age, but it's 25%. Now, the crappy part of this is if you have any other employees, you got to put in 25% there for them too. I mean, that's like, ugh, we don't like that.
Yeah.
Okay, now if you have a sole proprietorship or an LLC, whatever your net is, you can put 20% of that over into the SEP. So it's 20% if you're a sole prop or 25% if you're an S corp. I have really never seen a client set up a SEP when they have employees. I mean, it would just be ludicrous.
Yeah.
It's totally expensive.
Yeah. We have seen them where they have had an employee for a short period of time, 1 or 2 years, because you get like a 3-year rule on SEP before you have to include an employee. So, but once you've had them for a few years, we don't see them that much in SEP.
Yep. I thought it was a 2-year rule, isn't it? Once you've had an employee for 2 years, you now have to include them in the SEP. So you can get 2 years out of it, and then you're out. So the SEP is kind of a nice thing for the self-employed. That's why it's called a self-employed pension. but I still have videos called I screwed up and have to do a SEP now. So I'm not a big fan. I think the solo 401k gives you a lot more bang for your buck. But anyway, that's the SEP. What's cool about it now? What's the Secure Act do, Matt?
Well, see, what you used to have to do in a SEP is you always had to do traditional dollars. So if I wanted to max that out, and the Mark J. Kohler calendar has my max out, how much can I do to max it out? I can put in 59,007.
It is
What's the max I can do?
61,022. And if you're 50 or older, you have a makeup of 6,500. So you could put up to 67,500.
Okay, so you could go over 60,000. Let's just say that in there, and that's pretty awesome. But that had to be traditional dollars. Under this new bill, you could choose from the very beginning to just do that as Roth. So I can have Roth SEP dollars. Now the difference, of course, is I'm not getting a tax deduction now because a lot of clients do the SEPs because they're high income and they want a tax deduction. But if you're disciplined and you pay the tax now, and you get that 60,000 in there of Roth dollars, now that's going to grow and come out totally tax-free at retirement. Yeah. That's, of course, you guys all know we love the Roth. And so Congress is Rothifying retirement accounts. They're letting the Roth go to more places. First spot we're hitting here, and there's two more still. There's two more awesome places the Roth's going to hit. Okay. First place, it's now available in the SEP IRA.
Now, let me give you, if I could, everybody, is a little recommendation here. The only time, even though this Roth option is here, there still are times when you might use this strategy, but it's very limited. The first time is going to be when you want to put away more than your standard Roth IRA of 6,000 or 7,000. You're like, hey, I want to put away some more Roth money. And then, do you have a small business? Yes. Do you have employees? Yes, I do. Have they been around as any full employee been there full time for more than 2 years? No. Okay. Well, let's go to the SEP, fast and easy to set up. You could put another, 25% of whatever your W-2 is and throw that into a Roth and you're cool. But if you said, well, yeah, I have employees. Okay. That have been around more than 2 years? Yes. Do you want to put away more than 25% of your salary? Yeah. Okay. Then the SEP's out. So the SEP has this limited window when it makes sense. And frankly, everybody, the scary part of the SEP is you got to pay a hell of a lot of FICA. You got to pay the self-employment tax on this W-2 to just get 25%. Where with a solo 401k, you get a head start of 19,500. Then I can put money in. So it's just, you want to head to the solo when you can, but sometimes you can't because you've had employees for a year or more. You have this extra year window with the SEP. So anyway, that's it. Just, Matt, is that okay? I just wanted to kind of say, don't get too excited about this.
Yeah. We still have quite a bit of clients choose the SEP over the solo K because it's easier. They're not going to max out anyways, but they want to do more than 6,000 in a regular IRA. They're not investing in stuff where a solo K matters. And so we still do see the SEP as being popular, but I think the general person that's self-directing, that's self-employed, do the solo K. You can put more in, like Mark said. There's frankly a little more perks when you're self-directing, but it's not the be-all, end-all. The one nice thing about a SEP IRA, it's an account form to set it up, okay? It's an account form just to set it up. But a solo K is a planned document. It's a little more work to administer and keep going. It's a little more expensive. So I don't know. I'm going to give a little window. Someone had to speak up for the SEP IRAs. It wasn't going to be Mark Kohler, so I had to,
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, this is the new and improved SEP with a couple recommendations of when it might work for you under the new Secure Act. All right. Now,
okay. You ready to be Rothified a little more?
Yeah. Okay.
Should I Roth your world?
Let's Roth my world. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's get a little more Roth going here. The simple IRA.
Oh, okay.
All right. We're going to now have a Roth simple IRA. Now, again, as long as the Senate doesn't screw this thing up, but Roth simple IRA. Now, before, you could always do a simple IRA, but it had to be traditional dollars. And honestly, I've talked to clients before who were looking between doing a 401k and a simple. And one of the big cons to a simple was I can't do Roth. And a lot of our clients are inclined to do Roth. In a 401k, you can do Roth. How come I can't do Roth in my simple? I don't know. Congress just said you couldn't.
Yeah.
Now, with the Rothification, you're going to be able to go Roth in a simple IRA. And you can still do traditional. So you can do Roth dollars and traditional, just kind of like you can in a 401k. You're going to still have the option of doing traditional, but you have the option of Roth.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's unpack it a little bit. So we're over here in our retirement account campground, and we see all these other campers and RVs, 401k, SEPs, IRAs, Roth, and HSA. And now we're going to add to the mix the simple, and everybody's sitting around the campfire in this little cool RV rolls in called the simple. Should we put wheels on it? There it is. Okay. So it rolls in and it's like, hey, everybody, let's party. Okay. So what's cool about the simple now is Matt just said you could make it Roth or not, but really it's very different in my opinion from the SEP. The simple is like a baby 401k. Yeah. And the key thing to remember about a simple is it's simple. You have employees now, and so you can't do a SEP. You don't want to do a SEP, and you don't want to do a group 401k, and you feel like you're in no man's land.
You can't do a solo K.
Yep. Yeah, so no group, no solo. Well, I mean, you could do a group 401k, but the cost, and you're like, nah. And then and if you want to self-direct a group 401k, holy hell, buckle up.
Right.
And then we can do it, but it's not easy. And then, so there was kind of this area where you felt lost. Well, now the simple IRA rolls into the campground and says, I've got an option. Now, again, this is a business plan. So let's come over here and let's say on the left side, over on your ops, you have an LLC, sole prop, or you have a S corporation, which you can do. Now, so you get to put away, now here's what's cool. Again, we go to the handy dandy calendar. This year, you can put up to $14,000 into your simple, and that can be as long as you have at least $14,000 of net wages. So you'd have to pay yourself in an S corp probably around 16 grand. Do your FICA. You got left 14 grand. You could choose Roth or regular, and so you have a W-2. And if you have other employees, it's okay. We'll come to those options. And if you have a sole prop LLC Schedule C, then you would just have to have at least 14,000 in net income, and you can put up to 14 grand. Now, if you're 50 or older, you can throw in 3 more. So you're up to 17 grand. 14 or 17. Now, want me to keep going? I'll just explain the 2 employees, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with employees, here's why it's better than a 401k is, again, no administrative discrimination rule testing, no group reports or tax return at the end of the year, easy to set up, simple to set up, and simple. You can set up I'll let Matt tell you where we can set these up. Okay, if you have employees, here's the rule though. Not like a SEP where you have to do 25% of your employees' wages. You get a choice. You either do 3% match if the employee puts something in. So you're going to do 3% match if they put dollars in, and that's 3% up to 3% of their salary. So whatever that salary is. Okay, so if they paid 100 grand, you would have to match up to 3 grand max. Okay, so it's 3% of whatever their salary is. That's your maximum match. Or, and you have to choose one of these with a simple, or you do a flat 2% of their wages, whether they put money in or not. So it's a flat 2, no matter what. And this could be a nice recruitment tool, a nice perk for your employees to retain employees and things like that. But you've got to choose one of the 2, and then you're done. And you get to do 3% match on your salary, or whatever, up to whatever you put in, and a 2% flat into your own salary. So you got this 14 or 17. And before Matt tells you where and how easy these are to set up, let me tell you a cool part. You can still do an individual Roth on top of it. So you can double down, baby. And if you're in Vegas and you're playing blackjack and if things are looking good in that hand, you want to double down. So boom, you can do the simple and a Roth. So that means you could do Roth money of up to 20 grand if you're under age 50, or
23.
Well,
you get another
17
7
plus 7, so it's 24.
24. There you go.
So if you're 50 or over, you could do 24 grand in Roth or 20 grand in Roth if you're under age 50. And gosh, it's just so much freaking easier than a solo 401k in some ways. So now where do you see the window and how do you set them up?
Well, like, the group 401k is what you're kind of contrasting here too, because you're only going to do the simple if you have employees.
True.
If you don't have employees, we're doing a solo K or maybe even the SEP.
That's
but
right.
if you've got employees, we're going to look at the simple. Now, the reason I like this, because I've had clients that are like, hey, man, I'm a business owner. I got 5 employees, 10 employees, but like my net, what I'm making is 200 grand a year. I can't put more than 20,000 away in retirement anyways. Like just my budget of what I'm trying to throw. I know some of you guys are talking about, hey, you can throw away this much and put this much and save this much. It's like, I mean, I want to be able to do that, but I can't even put that much away anyway. So if you're like, hey, I love the idea of putting 15, 20, if you're doing the if you're doing the simple and you're doing the backdoor Roth on top of it. All right. Okay. Like we said, you can get up to 20,000 a year. That's way better than just doing 6, right? In just a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. Plus you have an option for your employees. Plus it's easier to self-direct a simple IRA. Now we were going to do these at directed IRA. We were going to do simple IRAs at directed, but the one reason we didn't, every time I would talk to someone who wanted to do it, they wanted to do Roth. It's like, well, you kind of can, but it's this 2-step process. We're going to have to convert it. And, and it was a little clunky. And so we're just like, but you can do it now. Okay. We're going to be doing simple IRAs. If this passes it on the Senate side with the Roth option, I think this is going to be much more popular, make much more sense for a lot of business owners. Where the business owner themselves, you could be putting away 20. Your spouse works in the business. Guess what? They can throw away. When I say throw in, I should say 20. They could also be throwing in 20. So much more simpler than a group 401k. Let me tell you what the simple IRA is. Again, these are form documents that adopt the plan. Much easier than a group 401k that has to file a 5,500 tax return. And that's the simple part of the simple IRA. Now you have to have 100 employees or less. And like Mark said, you do have to do some matching for employees. So you are going to put in some money for employees, and you have those 2 options of just give it to everybody 2% or do the match at 3. But I think this is going to be a good option. But it'll be much more popular. It's going to bring simples back to life.
It really is.
They kind of got left out of the Roth party, and they became less and less popular. Yeah. And now they got invited.
They got an invitation. Yeah, they got an invitation. All right. Yeah. Now, if you're watching here on YouTube, I'm just going to summarize this chart just to say it in a different way. This might be helpful to some of you. Is if you're a business owner with no employees, no full-time employees, may I add, no full-time employees that have been with you for over a year,
let me add a caveat. Part-timers are going to start counting now. Though your part-timers after 2 or 3 years are going to now start counting against you, and you have to include them as well.
Okay, so I'll have to get the rule down on that under the Secure Act. Okay.
Yep. That's I should say that's a bad thing in the bill. There was a couple things in the bill that are going to, that's one of them.
Because you really want to screw over your part-time employees. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Gosh,
it made sense.
You're the one that said it was bad? Okay.
Well, I mean, I just mean like if you're the business owner, it's like, well, I don't offer other benefits to my part-time employee. Why do they got to opt into the retirement account?
Yeah.
But
okay, so here's my chart. If you have no full-time employees for over a year, you would start with your individual Roth, which is our mainstay for everybody, rich or poor, young or old. Then you could add a SEP if you wanted to put in a little bit more money, or jump up to the 401k when you really want to throw down. So you kind of go graduate up to the solo 401k, which most of our clients do. And this is where we talk about the mega backdoor Roth, where you use the synergy of the solo 401k and the individual Roth, and you can throw away a lot of money. Put away a lot of money if you're a small business owner without full-time employees. Now, on the other column, we say, okay, I got employees. I've had full-time employees for a year or more. So I'm going to have to think at first about the SEP. So if you've had full-time employees for 2 years or more, you're out of the SEP. But you might have this small window for a year or two. And then you could But you say now, yeah, I have full-time employees. Now you've got this simple right here, this little beautiful simple here in the middle. So instead of jumping up to the group 401k, you have this kind of new option that's attractive because of that Roth feature. And again, you're always going to add your individual Roth first. So when we have clients that have employees, they say, well, I want to do a retirement plan. And we go, okay, why? Well, I want to put away retirement money. Well, are you already maxing out your backdoor Roth? No, I didn't know I could do it. Well, let's do that first. And they go, oh my gosh, that's about what I wanted to do anyway. Okay, well then let's not worry about a group plan. Are you trying to retain employees and recruit? No, I pay them pretty well. I don't need to a retirement plan on the table. Okay, but then if a client comes in and says, well, yeah, I'm already doing my Roth, but I want to do more. Okay, that's when we look at the SEP, simple, or group 401k. And of course, they want a self-direct and they want the Roth. So we're going to find that perfect fit. Mm-hmm. All right. So that's the simple, huh?
Yeah, that's the simple that is now going to be Rothified. Okay, so there's more Roth and enrolling happening in the Secure Act, though.
Yeah, we got number 3 and number 4.
It's not just about IRAs.
Okay.
They did some more Rothification of 401ks. Oh. Here's some more Roth for you.
Okay, so under the new Secure Act, there's some 401k Roth benefits. Please pray tell, Mr. Sorensen, author of the book, The Self-Directed IRA Handbook. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, the 401ks didn't get left out. Okay. The employer contribution in a 401k can now be Roth.
Oh.
So prior to this, you could only make Roth contributions of your employee dollars. So in your 401k, we all know when you put money in as the employee, and then your employer does a match. And this is whether you got the 401k at your company, your day job, your solo 401k, same rule here. Right now, the way it works, your employee contribution, you can do Roth, but the employer contribution must be traditional.
Currently.
Right. Secure Act is changing this. Secure Act 2.0 are just going to say, why not let that employer contribution be Roth?
Okay. So this year in 2022, an a person under age 50 can put in $20,500 and then get a match of up to 25% of their salary if in a solo 401k. In a typical group plan, there'd be about a 3 to 4% type match. So if we diagram this out, for those that are on YouTube watching, we've got our trifecta here. We have our operations on the left. We have our assets on the right. And again, we're in this cool campground over here of retirement accounts, HSAs, IRAs, Roth, simple, SEPs. And then we get the good old mainstay 401k. This is like the cabin in the the campground. They don't come and go. They've been around forever. So this is like the camp host.
Right.
Yeah. They're there hanging out.
This is the guy that actually took the wheels off and just settled in.
Yeah, he's there to stay. And he's usually crotchety.
The engine doesn't even turn over anymore.
Yeah. This is the guy and the lady you do not want to piss off in the campground because you don't want the camp host against you. You want firewood at night. And you might have a problem.
I don't know the politics. I don't know the politics at the RV campground, but it's
it's the camp host is your friend. Yeah, okay. You got to make sure he's your friend. Okay, so the 401k is our friend, and currently I do the W-2, and I can do $20,500 or an additional $6,500 if I'm 50 or older. So that puts me at $27,000. And then plus a 25% match of whatever my salary is. So if my salary was $50,000, I could do another $12,500 on this. So you could really throw some money down in a solo 401k. But the contribution from the company was always traditional. And that's the weird part that's changing. So explain why that would now be Roth, because couldn't you just convert it to Roth on day 2 anyway?
You could, but it was gymnastics on your tax return. You were expensing it on your company return as an employer contribution, having to do a Roth election and conversion to get it to Roth, getting a 1099, picking it up on your tax return. So they've just made it easy for us. Just go in Roth from the beginning on the employer contribution.
Okay. Now I want to ask, and you may say no, but I'm begging and hoping you're going to say yes, that I want to not only roll in old IRA money into my 401k or old 401k money into my 401k, can I roll in Roth into my 401k yet?
Ooh, Roth IRA dollars, you mean, into
Yes.
your... Ooh, I didn't see that in the bill.
Ugh. Okay.
Okay.
So that's a big question mark. Because see,
Sorry.
yeah,
I did not see that. I did actually go through the whole amazing thing.
You took one for the team. You went through the whole thing.
I took one for the team. I actually read through this thing. So.
Okay. All right. Now, let me highlight that for everybody, too, because that's kind of a fun thing. We have a lot of clients that have an old 401k from an old job or an old IRA. They want to self-direct it. They want to pool it with their new small business. They might be a consultant, side gig, side hustle. They open a solo 401k, and they want to energize it. They want to kind of fast track it. So they take their old IRAs or old 401ks and just bing, 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 and they just kind of roll them in here and start filling up this bucket on top of new contributions. But if you have old Roth money somewhere, which we love Roth, Roth is our friend, we can't put that in the 401k, can we? Not yet.
The Roth IRA, the old Roth 401ks you can, but the Roth IRA can't roll into the Roth 401k account.
Okay. All right.
But guys, the good news is they've made it easy here.
Easy.
So just keep your eye on the ball. Talking about the good news today.
Okay.
All right. We got some wins.
Okay.
Employer contribution can be Roth now. Even those of you who have the day job, we're focusing on the solo K here, but those of you with the day job, you got the 401k, it was a pain in your butt working with your administrator. You could have your employer match be Roth as well.
Teacher. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm raising my hand. I'm still confused. Mm-hmm. I'm a little.
Okay.
This is okay. If I'm an employer and I'm going to do a match, I want a write-off for that match. Mm-hmm. But now it's Roth? Do I still get a write-off? Tell me how that works. I don't get it.
It's just going to be like more compensation to the employee, just like the payroll you paid them that's Roth anyway.
So it's going to be added to the W-2 rather than...
That has not been specified, but you're going to be paying it basically as more comp. So it's still going to be expensed by the employer, right? But it's not deductible.
But will it be income to the employee?
Probably. Yeah.
See, a current match is not.
Correct. But if you took them, if we took the match and the company took a deduction for it, employee puts it up as on their return and converts it to Roth, then the employee's paying tax on it anyway. So the employee's electing to receive this as Roth. So they're already saying, let's just quit the hassle of you guys deducting it, me converting it, a 1099 getting reported, just pay it to me in Roth. I'll pay the tax on it.
I bet you, I'm going to make a prediction. I bet you this is a box on W-2. That's where it's going to be. Like you're going to go to your employer and make an election and say, I just want it to be Roth from the get-go. And it's going to be a box on the W-2 that'll increase your comp. So you're going to pay the tax on it as if you converted it 3 days later. And then the employer is going to get a write-off for doing it for you. They're just going to fast track it. Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, see, I thought that was a good question.
That was a great question. I didn't think about
Corey,
that.
was that a good question? Did you appreciate it? Okay, our producer appreciates it. So, okay, you like where I raised my hand too, because I wanted to ask the teacher. Okay.
Yes, and I definitely will call on you.
Yeah.
For any questions, I'll call on you.
I want to sing Van Halen "Hot for Teacher," but I'm not. That would be inappropriate at this moment. I don't want to sing "Hot for Teacher" when you're the teacher. Weird. Yeah, it would be weird. A little awkward. Okay. All right. So everybody, the 401k is Rothified in a more simple, easy-to-use way. The end.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep. Love it.
All right. That brings us to the number 4. As Matt has said, there's 4 major benefits for the small business owner investor under the new Secure Act 2.0. And number 4 on your list is?
We get to delay RMDs a little longer.
RMDs.
How do you like that?
I like that.
RMDs?
Is this the new Mercedes AMD? Or is that?
No, that's a little different. That's a little different. That's a little more fun.
Okay.
RMDs are these required minimum distributions. Then when you hit this magic age, which used to be 70.5, then moved to 72, now it's eventually going to go to 75. Okay. So RMD, this is for traditional IRAs. Roth IRAs are exempt from RMD. And all 401k, traditional or Roth, are going to be subject to required minimum distributions. But eventually the age is going to hit 75.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Now let me unpack that a little bit for you young folks. And before Matt makes any old jokes, because I'm a little older than him, I will preemptively control the message.
I would never.
That's what they say.
I would never.
That's what they say in the White House. I want to control the message, so I'm just going to come out. Right?
Okay.
Say, I am 10 years older than Matt Sorensen, and I don't appreciate his jokes sometimes about that. So I'm just going to say that. So I'm going to control the message.
Okay. All right.
So the good news here for us older people is if you have been building up this kick butt traditional IRA, because it does not apply to Roth IRAs.
Correct.
It's only if you have a traditional IRA or a 401k that you built up throughout your career that's now been rolled out to an IRA and you've never converted it to Roth. And you're thinking, I'm going to sit on this thing forever. And I'm going to start pulling out money whenever the freak I want.
Yeah.
Well, not so fast, Charlie. So what happens is the IRS says, you know, you're sitting on this big fat IRA / 401k, and we don't want to wait till you die. And so we want you to start taking out minimum distributions at some point. In fact, we're going to call them required minimum distributions.
Oh, that's the R in the MD. Okay.
Yep, there comes the R. So the R is...
It's not OMD. Optional.
No. Do you know I saw OMD in concert back in 1986.
Oh,
I did.
All right.
They opened for Thompson Twins. Yeah.
Oh, that'd have been an awesome show.
Dude, it was sweet. Yeah. It was the...
I love me some Thompson Twins. I was never a big OMD fan, but definitely Thompson.
That was the Breakfast Club tour.
Now.
Oh, yeah. It was so good.
Oh.
Yeah. So I saw OMD back in the day. Okay. Orchestral maneuvers in the dark. I can't believe I remember. Is that what it is? Orchestral or orchestrated? Orchestral? I think it was orchestral maneuvers in the dark. That was the band. For you 80s connoisseurs out there. Some of you are heavy metalers. I know some of you listening are all rockers. I was kind of a waver.
New waver?
Punk waver. Punk new waver. Yeah, I was kind of cool. All right. So anyway, the required minimum distributions say you got to start taking out money at some point. As Matt said, it used to be 70 and a half. Who in the hell cares when they turn 70 and a half? But the IRS did for some dumb reason. Then they changed it to 72. Hence, let's make it simpler. And now they're saying because everybody's living longer, we're going to just hike it up to age 75. So at that point, once you turn 75, you have to look at a table and say, okay, I've got 100 grand in my IRA, and you put it in this little calculator and it says, here's what your distributions are supposed to be. And you're like, I don't want to take it. Too bad. You freaking got to take the money out of your IRA and pay some tax. You may want to leave it inherited to one of your family members, your spouse or children or whoever, but and you can still wait to do that, but you have to take out these required minimum distributions. Now, one last thing I'll just say on this is that it's graduated in over the next few years. Next year, it goes to age 73 is the date the required minimum distributions begin, and then by 2033, it gets up to age 75. So it's going to come in over time. Maybe some of you will be 75 by then. I don't know. I don't know. But bottom line, I like doing the Roth conversions sooner rather than later. Even if you're older, you might be in a lower tax bracket. Just rip the Band-Aid off year to year and do a little chunking, meaning chunk at it a little and convert to Roth. Because once it's all Roth, you don't have to do RMDs. And you never pay tax. You can pull it out whenever the heck you want. So think about that. And I think, Matt, you're going to wrap up. There was one more thing that you felt was important. Even though we had 4, you're going to hit one more item. Okay,
I've got one more thing here, and this one's pretty cool. We've got the death penalty of prohibited transactions. So if you got a $100,000 account and you have a $10,000 prohibited transaction, you lose the whole account in an IRA. We call that the death penalty for prohibited transactions. That rule is getting booted. The way it's going to work now, if this bill passes in the Senate, is only the amount involved in the prohibited transaction is distributed from your account. So if you have the $100,000 account and a $10,000 prohibited transaction, only the $10,000 is removed from the IRA and considered distributed. The other $90,000 stays in your account totally untouched. So that's something that I actually specifically worked on in this bill and prior versions of it. Literally have talked to other members of Congress about, and it's a cool thing that's going to happen because if this passes, for those of you that may have had a prohibited transaction, you made a mistake, you don't have to worry about your whole retirement, the whole account getting thrown out. It's only the amount involved that'll get penalized and distributed. So that'll be a big win. Also, the statute of limitations for prohibited transactions will be clarified to be 3 years. And that 3-year clock will start at the filing of your 1040. There's a lot of confusion on that. There's been some tax court cases on it, Thiessen versus Commissioner being one. But that's another update that'll be, again, if the Senate passes this, a huge change, lessening the blow if you do make a mistake and engage in a prohibited transaction. So that's it. I think Secure Act 2.0 will be a big win if it passes in the Senate for all investors, all retirees. Like I said, there's something in there for everyone. For those of us that love to self-direct our retirement accounts, we have more Roth options now. We can hold off on RMD a little bit longer. And the death penalty on prohibited transaction is getting reduced. We're only going to get a penalty now on the amount involved if we have a prohibited transaction. So we'll be back, of course, updating you. Make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter, which you can do on any of our sites, mattsorensen.com, markjkohler.com, kkoslayers.com, directire.com. You can get signed up any of the newsletters there. We'll be updating you on anything that happens on this bill. And, of course, stay tuned to the podcast. We'll, of course, have an update on it if this passes in the Senate, which is where it is currently sitting. And of course, thanks for listening. We'll be back another amazing week. We'll be back with another amazing episode next week of the Directed IRA podcast. Until then, stay calm and self-direct on.